Hey guys, welcome to the show. 888-659-3727. Great to be here. Another Tuesday night doing the Bald Truth. That was abrupt. Sorry about that. Look, if you're new to the broadcast, don't know who I am, why I'm here. I'm a consumer advocate for men and women dealing with hair loss. I am the author of The Bald Truth and The Truth About Women's Hair Loss. I also happen to be the founder of the American Hair Loss Association and the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons. Now, that seems like a lot, and it is a lot. But the reason I do what I do, the reason I'm sitting behind this microphone, the reason I've been doing this broadcast for going on 18 years is because 2/3 of men by the age of 35 suffer with some degree of hair loss. And 40% of hair loss sufferers are women. Now, this is a silent epidemic that affects, just about every household in this country and around the world. It is something that, sadly, society doesn't really allow us to talk about. And because of that fact, because it is the last bastion of political incorrectness, because there is such a bizarre lack of sympathy or empathy for those who are dealing with common androgenetic alopecia. It creates this incredible vulnerability for those of us who are dealing with hair loss. It creates an atmosphere, an environment where people can be easily taken advantage of or disfigured, ripped off, bamboozled. Because society doesn't allow us to talk about it, because they trivialize what this does to a person emotionally, many people, most of us, are forced, except for me because I've turned this into my career, are forced to suffer in silence, are forced to try to secretly find a way to help ourselves. And then we're made to feel bad by those who really don't understand or who refuse to understand or who are in denial that hair loss can affect our lives in ways that, those who are oblivious to it, even hair loss sufferers themselves who might not have been affected by it because, they may not have had a great life before, or they may not have, it may not have been an issue that kind of like really changed their lives. But for the vast majority of people, as their hairline erodes, so does their self-esteem. So does, unfortunately, the way people respond to them, at least initially. And if you're a young guy and you're dealing with hair loss, and I just played that Andre Agassi bit, it can be the most difficult thing to deal with. It can be, I coined the phrase years ago that hair loss is like cancer of the spirit. And for many people who are listening to this broadcast, for the $3.5 billion a year that's being spent on this insane industry where 99% of products that are being sold that claim to stop and prevent or treat hair loss in some way don't work. Just lost my train of thought. My point is, I'm getting old. That because society doesn't allow us to really talk about this, because we are made, especially as men, to feel guilty or somehow less than, or somehow as a very insensitive, less than empathetic human being that posted something on my Facebook wall today basically stated that, people who are concerned about their hair loss are narcissistic. First of all, I think all of you should look up that word, especially the person who posted it. I think people who are suffering with hair loss, it's not like this egotistical preoccupation with self. It's not this egotistical preoccupation with their appearance or their success or how people perceive them in this world. They're sensing a change. They're looking at themselves in the mirror and they're seeing something different. They feel this lack of control. Imagine, I've said this before, and this is for the guy that actually posted this. Imagine if all of a sudden you woke up in the morning and you were noticing that you were losing words. You were losing a part of your vocabulary. You were no longer able to communicate to the world in the manner in which you were used to communicating. That's how a lot of hair loss sufferers feel. And by denying these feelings, by not allowing them to have these feelings, by somehow labeling them as having a mental illness or being vain, when this has nothing to do with vanity or narcissism, in my view, it's not only ignorant, but it really speaks to your lack of empathy. Having a lack of empathy is a clear sign of a couple of mental disorders. So when you go out there and you're writing that people who are concerned about their hair loss might have a mental disorder, I think you need to step back. I think you maybe need to take a self-assessment. Take a look in the mirror. See what your life is about. Because all I know is that there are a lot of men and women who are suffering because of the way society perceives hair loss and the way people like you treat people who are concerned about their hair loss. There has to be the secret society of the bald truth, the secret society of sufferers because of people like you. Another note, other side of things, I actually like you. You're a cool guy for the most part, but I think this is an issue which, for whatever reason, I don't know if you're in denial, or you just don't truly understand the enormity of this situation. And you're not a hair loss sufferer, but you are someone who has male pattern baldness. So it's fine that you're equipped to deal with it. It's fine that you believe that in your mind, it doesn't mean it's not changing your life. That's awesome. You win. You fucking win. This show is not about pandering to those who are dealing with hair loss. This show is not about trying to sell them some sort of bullshit product or service. What we do here is we try to help people cope. We give them a platform, a place to speak about an issue that people like you don't allow them to talk about. I remember when I was considering writing my book and I was speaking to different people about, and I was very open about my hair loss issue at a young age because it really, it truly affected my life. And there's so much negative shit that I got for it. From family members who said that, A, what do you know about writing a book? To B, who's going to buy a hair loss book from someone who's not a known expert in the field? To see, you're not really talking about a cure for hair loss. So, what are you going to write about? No one really cares about, I was telling them I'm going to write about my story and my research and the fact that the industry is a piece of shit and that there is real hope out there. I was going to talk about the new drug Propecia at the time and some other stuff. I was going to basically describe the current, at the time, state of the surgical hair restoration industry and warn people about what was going on. And there were people out there that basically said, don't waste your time. No one's going to care about that. And I thought to myself, well, if I care about it, there's got to be other people out there just like me. I can't be the only one. I can't be a mental disorder that I'm feeling so upset about the fact that I was going through the initial process, the initial throes of hair loss. It can't be. Can't just be me. Why would all these companies be in business being able to sell all this bullshit to so many people if it was just me? So I was turned down. I brought my manuscript, my partial manuscript to different agents, and I sent out query letters, and I was turned down by 14 agents. And then after I finally got an agent who was a hair loss sufferer, I was turned away. I was rejected by 33 publishers. But I knew that if I was able to eventually get this book published, that I would have a voice and that there would be people out there that would get it, that my message would resonate with people who were dealing with hair loss in the exact same way that I've dealt with it. And I wanted to give these people hope and some guidance. Obviously, the book was purchased. It was published. It became an international best-selling book, published in 5 languages. And it's not because hair loss doesn't matter, dude. You know who I'm talking about. It's because it does matter to people. And I'm going to stop my rant in a second, but I just wanted to, kind of let people know to stop with the bullshit, stop with the negativity. That's not what we do here. What we try to do is we try to empathize and sympathize and try to help people. We guide them safely through this crazy industry. We help people and save lives. And that's something that some people who may be sitting in their apartment somewhere who may have never really accomplished something of this magnitude before, or may never will. It's something that is easy to criticize from your armchair. Triple 8-659-3727. I have Joe Tillman waiting on the line to talk about some stuff. We're also going to be taking your calls. Remember, this is your safe place. If you have any questions, concerns about your hair loss, if you just need to vent, please feel free to give us a call. This is your home. Again, I'm not here to sell you anything. And frankly, I'd rather you not do anything if possible. I'd rather be able to help guide you in a direction where you just end up saying, you know what? I'm going to be that bald badass with a goatee. I just posted a great video on my Facebook page about that. And that's how this whole thing started. I'm going to shave my head. I'm going to move on. I'm not going to watch your show anymore. I'm not going to go on the forums. I'm just going to do my thing. I want to be able to do that for you. And we have done that for thousands of people. But for those of you who are like me, who are not equipped to deal with hair loss, who want to do something to try to treat your hair loss, this is your safe place to learn how to do that without being ripped off and hopefully not being disfigured. 888-659-3727. Joe Tillman, sorry for the long rant.
You said badass.
What's happening, man?
Nothing. Wow. That was a hell of an intro.
Well, thank you, man. I mean I do
mean that in a good way.
I'm very passionate about this.
Yes,
I mean, it really affects me when I see some of the ignorance out there. And it's interesting that this happened today because I was actually writing an email in response to somebody who wrote me, who is a very powerful person in this world, and he wanted to write me about a couple of things, but he talked about how hair loss is so trivialized, and that what we do here is, he basically said, these were his exact words, God's work. This is a guy who does not need his hair. This is a guy who has made more money than, I mean, I didn't even know how much money this guy has made. It's ridiculous. His children's children will never have to work. But hair loss affected him, and he understands what we do here. So then when I see this thing on my Facebook page from a friend who is, he's kind of been going off lately. I'm like, holy cow. This is exactly what I was discussing with this other guy. And I just, I'm just kind of tired of it. How do you feel about that?
Here's my observation, because I know who you're talking about. And because I went and had a quick glance at the situation on your Facebook page. And what I noticed, I went to the perpetrator's own Facebook page, and I wanted to see, who it was.
Well, the guy loves food.
Well, I remember the conversation from Free For All the other night where you're talking about that. But
and I'm going to cut you off for 1 second. I just want to say that I like the guy.
Oh yeah,
but he has such a hard on for certain things, and he has such a very he's so opinionated.
Well, let me tell you my observation. It happened over about 3 seconds of looking at his photos. Every photo of him, he's wearing a baseball cap.
Yeah. He'll say that he doesn't want to get a sunburn
inside the house.
That is
beautiful.
Sorry. Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm just making observations.
Right.
So he's talking about people that are worried about their hair loss being narcissistic. Correct? Is that what he was saying?
Exactly. That
okay.
And then basically that narcissism is a mental illness.
Yeah. So what we're dealing with here is someone who apparently wears a ball cap inside the house all the time, or when he's going to be when photos are going to be taken, or video or whatever. I'm just guessing that he has an issue with hair loss, and so he's covering it up. And he's one of these people that can't leave the house without his ball cap.
Yeah, I actually did meet him in person. I was in San Francisco, and he wasn't wearing a cap. So, I mean, I think he can definitely leave the house without his ball cap, but he does have a lot of images online wearing his ball cap.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but whatever it is, to trivialize what so many people go through, and whatever, I am sure that this person has an issue that disturbs him in his life. Whatever physical issue that he may focus on, or I don't know, maybe he has a concern about, something else, some other aspect of his life that he's insecure about. Everyone has it.
Well, we spoke about this, I think, a few episodes ago, where we were talking about the ladies that point out, the bald guys, and how they wouldn't, that vocally point out guys that are losing their hair. And I think it was me that said, well, they obviously have major self-image problems if all they can do is sit there and point out the problems of others.
Right.
The physical, the cosmetic problems of others. I mean, who does that? Right?
Right.
And that's I think that's along the same lines, in the same vein.
Well, I mean, in a sense, yeah. And I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. I just sound like Joe from Staten Island. I absolutely agree. What's interesting about this guy is he is just, I mean, it's like his passion as far as stating that hair loss doesn't mean anything. It's almost like he's overcompensating. Like he needs to say that. It needs to be put out there so that, it kind of justifies what he's dealt with. It kind of, allows him to, be a bald guy. And it's okay. And there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with being a bald guy. We talk about that all the time.
Of course.
But if people are suffering out there, why should they be ignored? Why should we not address their issues? Why should we not give them a voice and a platform to talk about something that, you won't allow them to talk about because you think it's so trivial?
The way to keep people from being so upset about this, it's simple. Train society to not give a damn.
Right.
Because that's what's causing us all as hair sufferers to go through this crazy bullshit we go through to hide our hair loss. You paint your head.
Right.
I've had $50,000 worth of hair transplantation done on me. I mean, it's
dare
like
you.
It's like, what?
Yeah.
And the guy that you said that you were emailing, or that had emailed you, I called this for what it is many years ago when I explained why we're all so concerned about our hair loss. And it's because of the way that, it's ridiculed in the media.
That's
You know,
right.
it's always the comic relief on the movies. Ha ha! Look at the guy with the plugs.
Right.
And you got the newscasters leading into a news story about some sort of potential 15-year away hair cure, and they say it's not plugs anymore, and it's
Right.
always the plugs. It's always the silly look on your head, and no one latches on to the fact that hair restoration, surgically speaking, can be phenomenal.
Of course.
But they don't focus on it because it's not sexy. It's not funny. It's not something that is in the social vernacular as being something that can make you laugh or something that's interesting. It's just like, oh, okay, all right, well, it's natural. So what? It's not funny.
But even more basic is, if people like this guy says and other people say, people don't care about their hair loss. It's so unimportant. Why would there be $3.5 billion a year being spent on snake oil mostly in this country?
Because people that are behind their desks in marketing departments know how to zero in and continue to perpetuate this issue that society supposedly has with hair loss.
Right, but what I'm saying is, to this particular guy and guys who are saying that, or women that are saying, well, hair loss doesn't matter. Why are you even concerned about hair loss? If it didn't matter to people, if it didn't really affect our lives, and if we didn't have to hide it, maybe the industry would be filled with better products and services,
Agreed.
And people wouldn't be ripped off or disfigured. But, maybe we wouldn't care as much. I don't know. But we do.
It's a hard call.
So tell me what else is up, man. Let's get off the subject because I was a little passionate about it. I wasn't really pissed off. I'm like, you know what? It's the same shit. Same shit. Never changes.
It doesn't change. And what's interesting is I was emailed today by someone
Good for you.
that was, I know, it's nice.
It's nice to get an email once in a while.
People still care.
Yeah.
No, he was asking me questions about my own case, and he asked a question I've been asked before. He said, if you could go back in time, would you go through it again? And I've answered this question before where I've said yes in the past. Or more specifically, I wouldn't change anything.
Right.
Because I've had a hell of a story develop because of it. Right. I mean, people always drop their jaw when they look at my old pictures or I tell them the story and it's good for conversation. That's for sure. But it's not a case of if I could go back to change things, would I? I think it's more of a question, or his question was, knowing now what I know, if I not even that, but it's just if I wasn't led down the path I was led on to start surgery to begin with, would I have eventually had surgery anyway? Like from some other path I had taken, like. I would have been completely bald by the time I was 25 or 26. And, had I not had my initial surgeries, would I have eventually had hair transplant surgery? I don't think I would have.
No, I think that if you weren't talked into it, there's a strong possibility you would have just shaved your head.
Well, I would have been a head shaver because when I was in my early 20s, I joined the Merchant Marines and, went through this pseudo-military boot camp before I was shipped off to the Middle East, and I shaved my head, and I got a great head for shaving. But this was the early '90s, and head shaving wasn't acceptable at the time. It's like you were either in the military or you're a skinhead,
right?
And so once I got out of back from the Middle East, I just let it grow out, and never thought about it again. But I was thinking about this, and as times were changing into the late 90s and early 2000s, had I not had the procedure to begin with, then at that point I would have said, hey, Eureka, now I can shave my head because it's acceptable, and I would have been fine. So no, had I not had those initial surgeries to begin with, I probably never would have gone down the road of surgical hair restoration in any capacity. I would just be one of these guys that shaves their head and been fine. And who knows where I would have wound up. But it's
you could be
an
dead,
interesting question.
You could have been dead by now.
I could be dead by now for
Right.
sure. But hair transplantation saved my life. But no, I could have, I could have been anywhere. But the fact of the matter remains, I did go down that path early on, and here I am. So it's interesting for me to think about those things, the possibilities. But it is what it is, right? I mean,
Well,
knowing what I know, it's
and I agree, and I tell people this all the time that I mean, listen, I still haven't had a hair transplant, and
Yeah.
you said that I paint my head. I do,
yeah.
and I say I paint my head. It's not really paint, Ron Knights, who did that video. I don't really spray paint my head. It's a little, compact of makeup, like something like women would have in their purse, except they put it on their face. I put this on my head. That's it. It's basically the same thing, and it's brown. That's that's the difference. But listen, I know what it is, and if I would have had the attitude that BM has, it's funny, BM, those are his initials, then I wouldn't be sitting behind this mic. Millions of people would not have had the opportunity to read my books, to be a part of this broadcast, and frankly, whether they decide to do something or not, they knew what their real choices were. If I would have had that attitude or been shy, listen, it's not, you think it's sexy to be the guy that does the bald show? Do you know how difficult it is for me to explain what I do to people, especially before I was kind of known? People thought it was ridiculous.
I actually do know what it's like because
You do, yes, you do.
Yeah,
actually,
it's like, when I was single, it's like dating. It's like, what do you do? Oh, I'm a pharmaceutical sales rep. What do you do? I'm a hair transplant consultant.
Yeah.
You're what?
What? And the eyes go right to the hairline.
Every time.
Yeah.
Every time.
I get like, why don't you get a haircut? Or, I get like, well, what's going on? You seem like you have a full head of hair and you got to explain the whole thing. And then it's just like, oh my God.
Yeah. But what's funny is once I addressed it, just point blank instead of kind of hemming and hawing, it was done. Ice was broken. It was the hurdle was passed, and usually wind up having a good time, and it just be just like any other date. Sometimes successfully ending for the evening, sometimes not.
Sure. Look, believe me, I was single for a while during the beginning of this journey, as far as with the Bald Truth. It was a very short time, like 2 years, and I just said, "Look, this is what I do." And I think it was kind of what was interesting, especially back then. I was a published author, so that that got their pants off right there. So it didn't really, and I was very open about it.
Yeah.
And I had basically, as soon as I was published, I was on the radio within 6 months. So, I made that happen. So, for me, it just, while it was odd, people kind of thought it was quirky. I'd bring them down to the studio. It was sexy. It all worked out just fine. And then, of course, I met common law, and then, the rest is history.
And that's all she wrote.
And that is all she wrote. I've been stuck ever since. No, of course, it's the best thing that ever happened to me, to tell you the truth. And you know what? Hair loss, while it sucks, it was a pretty good thing for me too.
Yeah. Well, it could have been worse. That's for sure.
That's right. That's right. You know what? We're going to take a phone call.
You would have a worse view. That's for sure. If you didn't have this path.
Who knows? Who knows what I would have been doing?
I can't say for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe I would have gone to porn or something.
Again, I mean, sorry, what? Sorry.
888, if I wasn't so self-conscious about my hair. 888-659-3727. Let's see who this is. Hey, you were on the air. Who's this and where are you calling from?
Hey, it's Baz calling.
Hey, Boz. How are you, man?
What's up, Boz?
Good, how are you?
Not bad. What's going on?
Not much, just thought I'd call in and say what's up.
Well, I'm glad you did. I haven't heard from you in a long time.
Yeah, so I don't know if you remember exactly what we talked about, but
you can remind me.
I've been doing, so I'm doing basically minoxidil, Rogaine in the morning, the foam, Lipogaine at night.
Right, that's right.
I'm doing all the internal things and everything other than Propecia, basically. And so far it's going good. It's been like 3 months now, and I'm seeing a lot of good early signs of regrowth. I'm seeing like a lot of clear hairs popping out all over the place and stuff.
Wow.
So that's good.
How old are you now?
That's like
I forgot. I know you're a young guy.
24.
24, that's
24.
right.
I'm turning 25 at the end of this month.
Okay. Well, happy birthday.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Yeah.
You made
Very
it.
much.
Yeah, you made it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make it to 50 in about 3 months, and that's unbelievable.
That's awesome.
I always look at 25 as being the last positive hurdle as you're growing up, because 18 you're finally an adult. 21 you can finally drink legally. 25 your insurance starts to go down.
That's true. But after 25, you got to really start producing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sink or swim, buddy. Sink or
Yeah,
swim.
after 25, I mean, you're
Yeah.
basically a kid up until the age of 25. After that, if you start saying that you're barista, continue saying you're barista, your life gets more difficult.
Yeah.
You know what I
Then
mean?
you're just kind of, yeah.
Nothing
But
wrong
anyways,
with people who are
so-
baristas. I'm just saying, makes life's a little more difficult if you're not, somewhere at least going in a direction that is going to really get you to where you want to go.
Depends on where you live.
Mm-hmm.
If you're in San Francisco, Seattle, Portland, something like that, then it might be passable.
That's true.
Yeah.
And it also depends on how good looking you are.
That's another truth.
Yeah.
The truth.
Yeah. So go ahead, boss. Sorry.
So anyways, I had a question, but I just wanted to share a story, especially for all the younger guys out there who are listening.
Oh, great.
So I recently started seeing this girl who I met, and she's 29. She'll be turning 30 soon.
Good for
And
you.
so I was seeing her, and everything's going really well. But she would touch my hair a lot, and it would bother me just because I don't want her to touch the minoxidil in my hair and then rub it on my face and stuff. Because I don't know, I read all these horror stories about how it can ruin your skin or whatever. So I felt like, okay, I have to say something to her. I have to tell her, okay, this is what's going on, and I need you to know that you can't touch my hair and then touch my face because it really annoys me.
Right.
So I told her everything. I told her straight up, this is what's going on. This is what I'm doing. This is the whole story and everything. And first of all, she was like, honestly, I didn't even notice. I didn't even think about it. I really didn't notice at all. And she's like, now that you say it, okay, yeah, I can kind of see it, but who cares? It's not that big of a deal.
Right.
And then, so she's like, it's good that you told me, so that you don't keep getting annoyed. And then, I asked her, I'm like, well, have you ever, just out of curiosity, have you ever, went out with another guy who was going through the same thing? And she's like, yeah, when she was 21, actually, her boyfriend at the same time, who was also 21, was, losing his hair, a lot, pretty fast.
Right.
And she told me that, they'd be sitting down, and she'd be, looking at his eyes or looking at his face and just kind of admiring her boyfriend. And then he would be like, oh, you're looking at my hairline. Stop looking at my hairline. You're making me feel uncomfortable.
Sure.
And then, she was like, after a while, it started to get annoying because, I didn't even care. I loved the guy. I really didn't care. But his insecurity just made him, go to this annoying phase. And they broke up over something else, but that certainly didn't help their case. So it's just another one of those stories to all the young guys out there that remember it's all about how you were acting, man. They see it, they'll notice it, but they don't actually care that much, man. When it comes down to it, as a man, there's so many other things that girls are worried about that your hair is not really the most important thing.
And you know what? I think that's
true.
that's true, and that's a great story. And I went through something a couple of times very similar, where, especially at the very beginning, I became ultra paranoid, and I can tell that I was annoying the people that I was with. And at that stage, I kind of I was dating at the time two different girls. Okay, and I just remember one of them was just like, look, you're so insecure about your hair. I wish you would stop talking about it. And I saw the look on her face when I would bring it up. And that's all I needed to hear. Well, I decided to obviously make this my career. I'm like, you know what? If I do this and I talk about this in an insecure way as opposed to an empowering way, look, this is what I deal with. Love me, or, take it or leave it. But if it's an insecure way, then you're really going to turn people off. And initially, it was hard not to be that way, especially when you're 21 years old, like this guy was. But I learned pretty early on that you just can't do it, man. You just got to, that's one thing you got to suck up if you can, especially if you find somebody that is really interested in you, who's enjoying your company, who does not seem to be making a deal out of it. You can share your concerns with them, but then that's it. Don't bug the shit out of them, asking them every 5 seconds how my hair looks.
Mm-hmm.
Because I was doing that. And every once in a while I still do. Every once in a while I will ask common law. And that I get this pang of what it was when I was 21 years old, and I'm like, I have to stop doing this.
I've had that exact same issue. I'll ask mail order the same question.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's. I mean, yeah, we'll be going out, and every once like we're in a rush or something, we get out in the hallway. I'm like, oh, hey, I didn't check the back. How's it look?
Yeah. Yeah,
and then I'm kind of like, oh, what the hell? I don't get.
But I have a real issue though, because especially if I ask someone to check the back of my head, it's because I don't want it to look like there's an oil slick back there.
Good point. Good point.
So that's fair. It's
That
kind of
is
like
fair, for
it's
sure.
kind of like if common law asked me how a blouse looks on her or her jeans, whatever it is. Those are all fair questions. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think your story is great, man. It's really important that that young guys like yourself call the show and talk about these things because, yeah, I mean, so all right. So, how's your relationship with this chick now?
No, it's going good, man. She really, really digs me a lot. But I don't know if I want to get into a relationship or not. But that's a whole other story.
Yeah. Well, look, honestly, you're only 24 years old. She's older than you at this point. I mean, I don't see anything wrong with banging around and having a nice time and just letting her know. Listen, this is what it is. I enjoy your company. We have great sex, and I'm only 24 years old. I'm not ready for a commitment.
Pretty much it. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
anyways,
that's my advice. I mean, don't be distracted. Don't let a woman distract you.
My advice is similar to Spencer's, where as you get older, the women that you date that are older now will start to get in reverse. They'll start getting younger.
Yeah.
So by the time you're her age, you'll be dating women about your age. But then as you get further into your 30s, you'll start dating chicks that are younger, like 28, 27, 26. And so if you settle down now, you'll be like, man, what did I miss out on?
Yeah, I kind of think like half your age plus 7 is around
Yeah.
what you want.
There you go.
that's a good
I
rule.
like that.
But honestly, I think look, you're 24 years old, but I think it's a great story. And yeah, bang around, have fun, just be careful. Don't get don't let anyone distract you. Don't get anybody pregnant. Whatever you do, man.
Absolutely,
Whatever you do.
for sure.
Whatever
That is
you
the
do,
worst
man.
thing.
For the
Yeah.
love of God.
I mean, for the love of God, and do not, and this I'm stealing a page from Tom Likas. Do not trust any woman who says she's on birth control. You got to wear your own. You have to wear your own.
How do you put that pill on though? That's kind of
You put the pill on your head.
Oh, I get
You
it.
really do. You got to wrap it if you can. Obviously for health reasons as well. I mean, there's a lot of STDs out there, and some really harsh ones. Like you don't want to get killed by something for having sex, but I mean, you don't want to impregnate somebody because then your life, as you know it, could be completely changed whether you stay with this person or not.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's true.
So
And she says that she's on birth control, so I should be a little bit more careful.
well, you know what? I mean, maybe she is, and that's great.
And that's
Okay.
what say,
she
hey,
is.
I
No,
am
I know that she is, but you're right. I should definitely do my part as well and make
You
sure
do
that
not
nothing
know that
happens.
she is.
Yeah.
Right. And also, how do you
can
know?
see the pills? You can see the empty containers, or whatever, but you don't know.
She did this like surgery thing that they install something, and it I don't know. She was explaining it, and she studied like medical stuff in university and everything. Maybe she completely made it up, but I highly doubt it.
No.
She
It's
was-
what is that called? Norplant. I think that's what it's
I
called.
don't know. It's
Yeah.
something that she got installed, and you have to do it every 5 years, I think.
Yeah, and that's
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And there's a really low incidence of of that failing. But how do you know she's not going on banging somebody else? And then all of a sudden you're going to wake up one day and you're going to have a wart on your dick. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's fair, yeah.
you want to do whatever you can to protect yourself. Just
Those are not fun.
yeah, and
So I'm told.
yeah, so yeah. I mean, and it's not like a herp. Herpes that'll eventually go away. I mean, it'll stay with you, but eventually you don't have to go to a doctor and have them removed. These things not only can they cause other issues, HPV, but those warts have to be physically removed.
Oh my God.
And that's that's the most common STD out there.
Yeah.
So just be careful, man. That's all I'm saying. Enjoy yourself. Be careful. You're a young guy now. You have your whole life ahead of you, man. I know sex is great, especially when you're 24 years old. But, wearing a rubber's not so bad.
God, 24, man. I wish I was 24 again.
I used to be able to go too, man. I would be able to go, like, honestly, I'm not even joking. Sometimes 5 times. Sometimes 5 times.
5?
Five
Yeah,
times. I mean, within like, you know, like in the day, you know, if we're just hanging out all day on a Saturday or Sunday, you know, I'd have to eat in between and stuff like that. You know,
Eating, not going to the gym, not running.
No,
or,
your whole
yeah,
day is just
chilling
hanging
out.
out and having sex.
your
Yeah.
whole day
Yeah.
is banging,
Yeah,
just
grab some food,
banging
and whatever. We
away.
did that the other day we did it for Valentine's Day. 4 times we're hanging out and everything.
Yeah, it's
It
awesome.
was
Good
good.
for
It
you.
was
It's
fun.
good for you.
That is the best. At this stage of my life, I could see when I have sex on my calendar. You know, I'm actually just kidding, but close. Anyway, man, listen,
Yeah.
Boz, always a pleasure, man. We're going to take some more calls. I'm
I
glad
just
I'm
wanted to
glad
ask
you're doing
you
well.
A question.
Yeah, go
Can I
ahead.
ask you one question? Yeah.
Sure.
So, anyways, I was talking about the whole minoxidil thing. So, yeah, some people on the internet say that, it can cause, like, wrinkles or, like, dark circles around your eyes. That's really the only side effect I'm kind of concerned of. And I'm really taking all the precautions. I shower with my head back so it doesn't go down my face. I wash it first, and then I do my shower. I change my pillowcases really often. I always put a new towel over it and everything. I'm taking all the precautions to make sure it doesn't get on my face.
Right.
So I just want to know what your thoughts are on that, if you've ever actually seen it happen, because I haven't seen anyone post a single picture that shows, okay, here's wrinkles. You know?
I have never actually seen it happen. I used minoxidil for many years, and sometimes I was sloppy with it. I never grew hair anywhere else, but I also didn't have any wrinkles. And I have to tell you, I mean, I really didn't start to see wrinkles until I was in my late 30s, 40s, and they're relatively mild.
That's
I'm almost
normal, yeah.
I'm almost 50 years old, and I was on that shit for a long time. So I mean, I never saw it personally. I've never seen an image of it, and I've never seen anyone in my personal life who has complained of it. What about you, Joe?
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I don't recall ever seeing like face to face anyone coming in when I was working in an office saying, "Look at these dark circles under my eyes or these wrinkles." I don't recall ever seeing anything like that. I've heard of it, but I've just never seen it.
I do think a lot of people will blame different lifestyle changes or just, going out, smoking, drinking, living a normal life. And then all of a sudden they're starting to see some changes because they started using minoxidil, and they're attributing everything to minoxidil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's nothing wrong with being cautious. I mean,
I'm trying to be really safe about everything as much as I can, because it's the whole overall thing, right? It's working out, taking care of yourself, nice clothes, shaving, hair, minoxidil, everything. So it's like my body's kind of like my car, and I'm trying to maintain it and soup it up and fix it and make it as best as I can, but still be safe, right?
Dude, you're a fucking smart kid. Let me tell you, man.
Yeah.
Life is really, the secret to life is it's all about maintenance.
Yeah.
And most people don't understand that. I was at this meeting a couple of weeks ago, and and this is not, I'm not the type of guy that says, hey, I look young for my age. Or, there's always that person that will say, well, I'm 50, but I look like a young 50. I always find that kind of a turnoff. So I was never that type of person. But the truth is, when I meet people and they know how old I am, they're a little, they're like, wow, you look significantly younger. And to me, well, thanks. But to me, it really is. A lot of it has to do with weight control, because I was a slob. You look at some old stuff of me. I was a big bloated drunk for eating chicken all the time and pizza, and and there was a couple of like a year or two when Joe was having some issues that he talked about.
Yeah, I was I was going through some moments where I was a bit heftier than I am now. Part of that was it was strictly from lack of exercise and not eating. What's funny, I thought I was eating okay,
right?
But when you look back on it, it's like I was eating like a pig.
Yeah,
I was pathetic. But
dude, I was teetering on 215. I'm just barely 6 feet tall. So I mean, for me that was heavy, and I realized that it's just all about maintenance. If you maintain yourself like you are, and it's not narcissistic to take responsibility for the way that you look and the way you present yourself to the world, BM, who's probably listening, who thinks that this is narcissistic. But, I mean, that's your responsibility to yourself, honestly, to take good care of yourself. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to be perfect. You can go out and, get loaded, once a week or whatever you do, however much you drink, and just be careful. Just do everything in moderation and really take the best care of yourself, because when you're my age, if you've done that, at least not even 100%, but if you've done it to some degree, you're going to be way ahead of your peers. and you're going to live a much
Yeah.
better life. Hey, you're on the air. Who's this, and where are you calling from?
Hey guys, this is Sam from Kansas City.
Hey, Sam, what's happening, man?
Sam.
Speaking to your phone, you
Hey.
sound a little weird.
Oh, I was just stuttering a little bit, I think. Am I better now?
Yes, you
There we
are.
go.
Or? Okay, yeah. So I usually call about Propecia, but the last caller prompted me to call in today because he came out with, was his girlfriend or just a girl he was seeing or what?
Well, it's a girl that he's seeing that he's having sex with. So basically, you're 24 years old. That's kind of like your girlfriend. You know?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, I just called because I wanted to share a similar experience. I've been with mine for about a little bit over a year.
Well, you really
I
that
told her-
really is a girlfriend.
Yeah, I guess
Yeah.
so. I actually have to do something on Valentine's Day and stuff. But
Holy cow! Isn't
But-
that something, man? Isn't that pressure? The whole Valentine's Day thing.
I mean, not. I think that caving into the pressure is kind of a mistake because, like, I don't want to be one of those people that just like go into Walmart and get flowers and chocolate and like wait in line forever. That's like ridiculous. So
Right.
I mean, we like celebrate the day after Valentine's Day. We'll like go to her favorite restaurant or something like that.
That's nice. It's
really
cheaper.
no pressure at all.
That's good. That's good. Did you have to take her to see 50 Shades of Grey?
Oh hell no!
Okay.
No
All
way.
right.
She's a keeper.
I
Yeah.
have not met a single person, female wise, that likes that.
Sam, I would have had to hang up on you if you did.
Oh God, no.
Okay. All right. Well, good. So tell
Yeah,
me. So go on with your story.
Well, I told her about 3 months into it, and first of all, she said she didn't notice, and second of all, she said that she didn't care anyway, and that it really didn't matter to her, and she would still be with me regardless of how the hair situation was. But so the interesting thing is that so her best friend is also going bald, or actually not going bald. He is bald. Like there's nowhere left to go.
Right.
Like if he took Propecia, it really wouldn't make a difference.
So like
anymore.
he's like a Norwood 7 never coming back. He's done.
Yeah, Norwood Infinity, pretty much.
Yeah, he's cooked.
Yeah. So he always wears a hat all the time. So they were kind of meeting up. They don't get to spend as much time with each other anymore because they both have their boyfriends. But they met up and they both had a conversation about their boyfriends and hair loss. And she was talking about me, the drug I'm going on, and using Rogaine all the time. And then she was talking. And then the other, her friend was talking about her boyfriend. And they want to. They've been going out for a while. And,
All right, I'm lost here. So I thought initially her friend was a guy, but her friend is not.
No. Her friend's a girl. Her friend's a girl.
Her friend's a girl who's dating a
But
guy
her-
who's a full blown Norwood.
Thank you for asking
Yeah.
that question. I
Okay.
was
Okay,
curious.
I'm so
Yeah,
sorry
okay.
for. Okay, I admitted a relevant detail.
Friend,
but,
and then you said she. I'm like, wait a second, she's a full blown Norwood.
She's a Norwood 7? Wow.
I mean that happens, right? I guess.
Well, usually not like male pattern baldness, but yeah, I mean, female hair loss is very common, but they usually lose hair in a more diffuse pattern. So the whole thing confused me. But go ahead.
Right.
Now we're straightened out.
Yeah, I had to clarify. But
I was like, poor girl, Norwood 7. Holy shit.
but neither of them cared at all. Like especially even the girl with like the guy with like the Norwood whatever. But the guy was just so insecure about it. Apparently, like he wanted to wear like a hat at their wedding and stuff like that. But I guess neither of them really knew before they started dating us guys that it was a big issue at all or anything. So then it was just such a non-issue.
Well, here's what's interesting. If this guy's already full blown, she must have met him during, I mean, he was pretty far gone when they met.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So, I mean, I find it interesting that, and listen, I certainly understand why no matter what, he's still insecure about his hair. But I find it interesting that he was that concerned about it, even after he met the woman, even though she accepted his marriage proposal, that he still wanted to wear a hat at his wedding. And what that illustrates to me is that it doesn't matter if the person's loved. It doesn't matter how much love the person feels. They want to feel comfortable in their own skin. They want to be able to look at themselves they want to look back at their wedding. This is probably one of the reasons, at their wedding video and their wedding photos, and feel like, all right, I looked good that day, instead of having to look at something that they're unhappy looking at.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I get it, man. I certainly get it. But I think it's also a good lesson to let guys know that there are women out there who don't necessarily care. Now, I'm just asking you, what's the attractiveness level of this woman?
I would give her an 8.
Wow.
Okay. All right.
That's pretty. Is that like a LA 8, or is that like a Kansas City 8?
I mean, I've never been to LA. All I know is a Kansas City 8. So,
Okay.
So,
So Kansas City 8 is like an LA 4.
oh my God, I don't really
I'm just
know.
dude, I'm just joking. I'm just being an elitist here. I'm just kidding. But no, I'm sure if she's an 8, man, that she's probably pretty hot.
Yeah, she is. And I mean, like, even with the hair, I mean, no offense to the guy, I mean, he's a good guy, but he wouldn't be, like, that great even with hair. So, I mean, he doesn't have money either, so, I mean, if your personality can go a long way.
Well, maybe he has like a 10-inch personality. I guess that's possible.
I don't know. I guess it's possible. Like,
or maybe this woman just happens to really like this guy, and then she fell in love with him, and she's like, you know what? She just wants to be with this person because this person makes her feel good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
What's up?
It's just
What's on your mind?
Never mind. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Oh, that's
there.
okay.
Were you going to say something?
It happens.
It happens to me all the time. I do this for a living, and it happens to me.
Mm-hmm.
I just forgot what I said just now. So, but I will tell you this, that there are plenty of people out there. They go bald at a young age. They meet a nice woman. They get married. They have a full life. But I can tell just by the way you told the story and the fact that he wanted to wear a hat and all that stuff, he's still not happy, no matter how great his life seems to others. The fact that he has this Kansas City 8 and that he's out there, and he got married and all that stuff, it's great. Most people looking in would say he's got a good life happening, but he's still not happy. And it's unfortunate that that's what this does to us.
It's an issue with.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of I kind of have a theory about it. It's like, even when you're dating someone, you still kind of want to, there's kind of like a dynamic of power within relationships,
Sure.
And, I mean, God forbid, they ever get divorced, but if they do get divorced, she doesn't want to be in a scenario where she has all these options and where he doesn't have anybody. I think that there might, at least for me, I think that's kind of a primal fear that I would have.
Well, that actually makes a lot of sense, and I think that's a pretty much of a concern for a lot of people, and that could be why a lot of people just settle down, because they figure they got somebody, they're going to hook them in, and they're going to settle down, and that's
the person that comes along.
That's very common. And Joe, we're actually having some trouble. I don't know if it's my Skype or your Skype, but maybe we should reconnect. I'm going to disconnect and reconnect. All right?
Okay, sounds good.
All right, bye. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely an issue that I think that the vast majority of people, and I was saying this to somebody else today, that who don't suffer with hair loss can never ever understand. It'd be impossible for them to comprehend how what this does to people, how it makes us feel. Joe, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, yeah, I'm still. I think my internet's pretty good, so I don't know what the problem is. But go ahead, man. Sorry, caller.
Well, I mean, even when you lose like a little bit of hair, and that's still a hugely traumatic experience, and then people will just blow it off like it's nothing. Like it's just they don't understand. Like no matter what level of baldness you're experiencing, it's such a profound impact on you. And yeah, you're right. No one will ever.
Well, I mean,
know
dude,
what it's like.
look at me. You know, I was lucky enough to be able to slow the progression or stop it for a long time. So when people see me, they're like, "Wait a second, you got hair in your head." You know, like, what do you know about it? Maybe a little oversprayed or whatever, but you still got a lot of hair. It's because I lost a little. I lost enough that made a difference in my appearance, and it fucked me up. It really did.
It's an appearance that probably only you could notice, and like maybe other people could notice if they looked hard enough. And then I don't know, being bald, like going bald, is kind of like a superpower. Like I mean, a really crappy superpower, but a superpower. Like you can tell that other people that aren't noticeably going bald with untrained eye are going bald. Like you can look at celebrities in the movies, and you can tell that they're going bald.
That's actually very
And
interesting. That's interesting that you know that. It goes for hair pieces and for hair transplants in some cases. I mean, you all of a sudden your skills are honed, my man. You know what to look for. And I know the very beginnings of miniaturization, and I'm just like, you know, that's a Norwood waiting in the wings. Like I'll
I see
see
it
it,
every day.
yeah, every day, right, Joe?
Every day.
that keen awareness kind of
Sometimes.
actually distorts reality a little bit too, because like I'll look at other guys' hairs and like my own hair, and it's like, holy crap, we're all fucked, but really no one else notices this. Like it looks like to me that like 50% of my hairs are like miniaturized, but to everyone else it's like a full head of hair. It's so weird how that.
Well,
That's my
It's very-
superpower. Is I feel like I can walk around and instead of X-ray vision, I can see the future.
Joe, man, I don't know if it's my internet or your internet, but I can't. We're not getting a clear signal, so I'm gonna hang up on you.
Okay, let me try something on my end, and
I'll call you back.
Spencer in 2 minutes.
Okay. But yeah, man, dude, listen, you're absolutely right, and I'm the king of that. Like I call it Norwood clocking, and I'm out, and sadly, this is what I do. So, I mean, I drive common law out of her mind. You know, we go to a restaurant, whatever it is, and I'm like, oh man, look at that poor Norwood, and she's like, the guy's got a full head of hair. I'm like, oh, you don't even know what he's about to deal with, or what he may already be dealing with because he's noticing that he's dealing with his hair loss. You know, and just like my parents, you know, when I first started to talk about it, they were like, my mother would
They
say,
think you're crazy.
my mother thought I was crazy. She's like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
Mine too. They're like, it's just your hairline, and it's like you have no idea what you're talking about. Like this is changing. It's ridiculous. And like when I was 18, going through college, I was kind of like struggling with like, in a way, my sanity. Like
I think we all were,
I couldn't
actually.
tell. Yeah, but I feel like it's complete. I feel like it's different for people that are just starting to lose their hair, because like you start to look at your hair so much that you don't know when it's noticeable and when you can get away with having a full head of hair. Like when I was a sophomore in college, like no one knew I was going bald, but I just thought it was so noticeable, and it was such like a detriment to my appearance. I just went and shaved my head.
Wow.
No one knew why I did that.
Yeah.
But it just looked like I was going bald to me, and even though not to anyone else. But I just thought it was
Sam,
time, and I'm like, all right.
Listen,
What?
I get it, man. And I get it probably as much, if not more, than anybody else, because I was so hypersensitive to it that, I mean, I noticed it, I think, before most people would notice it. I mean, that's how early on I noticed the change, because I was hyper vigilant and hypersensitive about my hair. Hair meant a lot to me when I was 20, 21 years old. I had long hair. This was the 80s, and I would constantly be complimented by women about my hair. So it became part of my identity. And, you know, maybe, I guess in the end, I was fortunate that was the case. But, you know, at that time, it wasn't that great for me, because as my identity as my hair started to change, I felt my identity was changing. I never forget, I saw this girl that went to Penn State with me, and she wasn't a New Yorker, but she happened to be in New York. It was really weird. I saw her in this pizza place, and the first thing she said to me, besides hello, was, you know, why'd you cut off all your beautiful hair? And the reason
did you shave it or?
no, I just cut it short because it was getting really stringy, and so I got a short haircut. And I, you know, at that point, that was pretty pivotal, a point in my life, because while I didn't tell her the truth, every time I was approached after that point, I started to talk about my hair loss. Because it made me feel, she put me back on my heels. I didn't know how to respond to that. But her initial reaction is, why did you cut off your beautiful hair? And that combination, that phrase, really fucked me up, because I'm like, all of a sudden, I was like Samson. And I lost my power. I felt I was losing my power.
Mm-hmm.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just saying that I'm sorry, I'm doing it.
You're doing it again. What's going on? Are you getting loaded?
I don't know. Maybe it's a brain fog from the Poopy show.
Oh man, that's right. You're the guy who reads the forums all the time.
Yeah, I mean, I've been avoiding it this week.
Good.
And I've been fine with that.
Good. I think that's the smart thing to do. And you don't have brain fog, dude. That happens all the time to a lot of people.
I was definitely like this before. That's what you said. I can't blame that. For that.
It's good.
But yeah.
No, but listen. You always bring a lot of stuff to the table. And hold on, I'm trying to get Joe back on. And your points are, they're really well taken. And believe me, this crowd, the guys that are listening, they appreciate what you're saying, because there's so many guys out there that before they found this program, they thought they were losing their minds. They thought that they were the only ones who were feeling this way. They thought that, I mean, I'm telling you, my mother, while she meant well, it was almost like, like I was saying before, she kind of trivialized what I was going through.
Well,
let her rest in peace.
In a way, like my family and friends kind of like held me back with this, because I could have gone on that drug and gotten the Rogaine like immediately if I just didn't listen to them. But when you first begin to start losing your hair, you fall into this trap where maybe I'm just kind of crazy right now. I'm looking at it too much, and then you let more hair go by, because it's such a gradual change. You don't know what's physically happening to your head and what's in your mind, and it's a really, I mean, I don't want to say traumatic, because, like, pregnancy is traumatic, and, having your femurs cracked is traumatic, but this is also...
Oh, dude, you could say traumatic. It is traumatic.
Yeah.
I was traumatized. I remember just thinking about when I first noticed it. I think I had post-traumatic stress from it. Just from that experience, those first 2 years especially, man, I was so fucked up. I mean, I was out at the bars every night, basically trying to anesthetize myself. And that's the only way. And listen, a lot of young guys do that anyway. But this was my reason, And I did whatever I could to escape. And every day I'd wake up in the morning and I'd do my hair, and I would have handfuls of hair in my hands when I was shampoo.
Like, legions of hair, you just like fall out from the shower, and it's so aggressive when it hits you like that. It's aggressive to your mind. You feel like your youth is going to end in 2 years, like that prematurely. Like, you don't know like what's going to happen next. That's the scary part of when it first starts happening. You don't know what you're going to look like in a year. You think you're going to be bald within a year, and that's just such an alarming thing.
Well, it is alarming, because you're watching. The process is so debilitating, but it's also so debilitating if you allow it to be, and it's hard not to, because when you take that shower, when you comb your hair and you see those changes and you see handfuls of hair, you're like, what the fuck is going on? And you don't know when it's going to end, and you don't know if it's going to end. And then that's when you start to fall into the trap. And you're starting to buy every product, and especially back when I was dealing with hair loss, and there's really nothing out there. Minoxidil wasn't even approved. But you start to see, all of a sudden you're getting acupuncture down in Chinatown in some dark room. You'll do whatever it takes. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that I did.
Mm-hmm.
At least you guys have the internet now. At least you guys, while you have to decipher what's really going on out there, we had nothing. We had some commercials on television, stuff in the back of like men's magazines, stuff that you'd read about, like ads in the back of like the sports pages. I mean, I did all kinds of crazy stuff, man. I put cayenne pepper on my head. I stood on my head. I got one of those. I got gravity boots and hung from a chin-up bar. Whatever anybody told me to do, I did.
Those are some extreme measures.
Oh my, dude, you have no clue. I would sit there for an hour a night. I never forget this company. I'm not even going to name it because they're not in business anymore. But it was just horrible. I was spending like $100 a week or something. It was like $400 and $500 a month on this stuff that you weren't supposed to rub it into your scalp, but you had to part your hair and like put a line of this ointment in and tap it. You had to tap it a certain amount of times. I'm telling you, I think these guys just got a kick out of knowing that the suckers that bought this stuff were going home and spending an hour tapping their heads.
Yeah, that's cool. Like, I mean, if you know this stuff doesn't work and you're giving these oddly specific, inconvenient instructions, that's just cool.
Well, it was cool. Can you talk into your phone? I don't know if it's your cell phone or if you're. I'm gonna pot you up a little bit. It still sounds like you're kind of like in a tunnel.
Oh, okay. I'm not sure what to do about that.
Okay, that's a little better. But yeah, I mean, listen. I mean, if you've read my original book, and I'm not even saying to buy it because it's so old, but I mean, that's the kind of stuff that I wrote about, and that's what I was doing. And I just remember, I didn't have a microwave. Okay, so I went out and had to buy a microwave because. I know it sounds crazy not to have a microwave, but back then, not everyone had a microwave, and it wasn't like part of an apartment. So I bought this inexpensive microwave because I had to heat these towels. So I had to put the stuff in my head and then take hot towels, wet, towels, and heat them up like washcloths and put them on my scalp. And I had to sit with that for like 30 minutes and just keep going back and forth to reheat the towels. I did that for like 7 months.
That's crazy. Like, so would you do that? Would that be nonstop throughout the day, or
would that be what?
Or like would you be doing that nonstop throughout the day to do that? Or
well, no, it would be at the end of the day. But I would have to like work my entire day around being able to do this. I never forget. I mean, and I believe me, I was vigilant, man. I did this shit. I would go to women's houses. I was actually dating this chick at the time, for about. I guess probably about 3 months. I remember the first time I slept at her place, I brought my stuff. And I'm like, I got to do this. And I remember I'm in the bathroom. She's like, why are you in there so long? And I opened the door and I showed her. Think about that. Mm-hmm. You're like 21 years old and you're going through that shit. But listen, man, I don't know if it's my internet because you're on a voice over IP phone, or I don't know if it's your phone, but I'm having trouble hearing you.
Okay.
But I'm gonna let you go. But I really appreciate the call. I think I appreciate the fact that you told a very important story, letting guys know that you can still get a woman. There are plenty of women out there who are very attractive that'll still go out with you. And even if you're a bald guy who's not that good looking, if you have the right stuff, whatever that is for that woman, you can end up being with her.
It's the chemistry that matters.
It's the what? Chemistry. Absolutely. Yeah. It is the chemistry, man. Well, listen, Sam, I got to let you go. I don't know if it's my internet or what, but I'm having trouble hearing you. But all right, man. Listen, you take care. Thanks so much, man. Be well.
You too.
All right. Take it easy. 888-659-3727. I don't know if you guys are having trouble seeing me or hearing me, or if it's my internet. I'm going to try to hook up with Joe Tillman. If I can't, I'm going to take a break anyway, but let's see if this is going to work. Calling him now. Hello?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly, I think.
Outstanding.
Well, was there an issue with your internet? Was it not plugged in, or?
I think maybe it was, the MacBook Pro, which I'm older, so kind of got for me.
We're still having a problem. It's possible it's on my end. To tell you the truth, it really is, because I was having trouble hearing the caller as well. Yeah. Now, are you watching the program?
Yes.
Okay. Does the feed look clear? Is it?
The feed is crystal, but every few seconds there is a buffering signal the little rotating circle on the screen where it's buffering.
It's very possible that I'm having trouble with my internet. So, maybe I will. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take a break. I'm going to check my bandwidth, see what's going on, and we'll take your calls. So stay with us, guys. 888-659-3727. I'm Spencer Kobren. You're listening to and watching The Bald Truth. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
And worldwide.
I just want to say, you guys are doing a great thing. It's such an uncomfortable topic to talk about, especially for a guy, young guys in their early 20s. And, I'm glad that, I can tune in and, listen to you guys.
Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth.
The late, great Gary Coleman. You know what's wild about that bumper is that was laid down like, and my computer's making all kinds of noise, right before I started to put a camera in the studio on Westwood One. And it's really fascinating to hear, obviously, that, at the time I wasn't being viewed, I was just being listened to. But, most people would have cut that ID to the point where it just said, hey, this is Gary Coleman, and, whatever he said, and you're listening to Spencer Kobren's The Bald Truth. But I thought it was hilarious that he did 3 takes, and on the 3rd take, he said, this is the last one, otherwise he has to go into his wallet. So I kept the whole thing. Joe, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Can you hear me?
I could hear you perfectly.
Awesome.
Let's hope that it lasts. Good. I already jinxed it. Jesus.
It's Brian Monroe, man.
I'm telling you, man, he's ruined the show for us. Fucking guy. But, I never would have met. First of all, at the time, Gary Coleman was still, I think, in his late 30s, right? Or something like that. And he's a relatively young guy, he's in the studio and came on. He did the show kind enough to do an ID, which was awesome. And like 3 years later, he's dead.
So this was when did he die?
Died like what?
Like 10 years?
No, it's like 5 years ago, I think. I have to look it up.
I got it. 2010. Yeah, you're right. 5 years ago.
Yeah.
It's one of those things where it's like it's like you remember when it happened, but you don't remember when it happened.
Yeah. It's wild. And it's also time flies, But I just remember, when I used to do the show from Westwood One, and you see all these celebrities. And, some of these guys and whenever you guys think of, what happened to poor Gary Coleman and, the end of his life, yeah, he had a tragic life. But there was a time when he was like the highest paid child actor in history. I mean, this guy, everyone knew who the F Gary Coleman was. And I remember, Sammy Hagar and Michael Anthony from Van Halen were in the studio. And they came in and they saw my show going on. They wanted to know what the hell it was. And my producer at the time was like, it's the Bald Show. It's the Bald Truth. They were fascinated. Asked them to do an ID. And they did. A lot of these guys are just really gracious.
Yeah.
I don't have any celebrities that walk into my house at this point that can do an ID for me. Doesn't work like, when I was in Westwood One. So all of my celebrity IDs are like, 8 years old.
There's nothing wrong with that. I really like them. I mean, they're
timeless.
They are timeless. Yeah, especially the Gary Coleman.
Yeah.
And the thing about Gary Coleman is his one-liner that he was famous for back then. People still know what you're talking about.
What you talking about?
What you're talking about with us?
Yeah.
Yeah, everyone knows.
No, he's a good guy, man. It's sad, It's sad what happens to people. This is a guy who had this tremendous career, and then as an adult, he's like working. For a while, he had to be a security guard.
That's right. Yeah, I remember reading that.
So what do you think about Sam's story, man? That's not uncommon. You see a lot. You were saying it last week. There's a lot of guys. You see a lot of balding guys who may not even be that good looking, with really hot women.
It happens all the time.
And people on our forum on Bald Truth Talk think it only happens to guys who have money.
I don't get it. I mean, well, I do get it. They're not paying attention to the world around them, and that happens to a lot of people for a lot of different reasons. But yeah, you don't need to have loads of money. It's all about personality, the way you carry yourself. I mean, we've talked about this a million times. How many times? Look, you said on Bald Truth Talk they're talking about this, but there's also an equal number of guys, if not more, talking about just shave it and work out and you'll be fine.
Yeah.
Right.
But then there's the guys who think that it's like, the entire world is against balding men and that no one cares. No one's out there really working like they should to find a cure. And they're leaving all of us to kind of, hang out there to dry. And when I read this stuff, I'm like, Jesus Christ, dude, you're on your own, man. You were born. You got to figure it out. You were born into this world, and that's it. There's no one out there that's going to help you. There's no one that's going to... If we're lucky, there will be something eventually. But right now, you got to figure it out. And if you can't deal with what we have today, then either shave your head or, become a monk. Do something. But to spend your life on a message forum bitching about why there's no cure or that, we are, marginalized in this society as hair loss sufferers, and it just seems like such a waste of energy and life to me.
It seems like, I don't know, some people look for something to latch onto as an excuse or a reason for something that may not be up to snuff in their own lives. And, sometimes they'll focus on things that other people just don't notice.
I mean, if anyone should have an excuse, look what I got going on in my head. I'm the one who should have an excuse. Sorry, that's in my mind. Anyway, let me give out the phone number. It's 888-659-3727. Joe Tillman, have you, and again, I don't pay enough attention to the forums like I should. Is there anything of interest that I should know about that you find interesting on Bald Truth Talk? Don't say no. Because that's not good business.
Of course, Spencer.
50 Shades of Paint. That's very funny, dude. That's very funny.
Was that?
And you hurt my feelings, but it is funny.
Oh, that's good.
Mike from Canada. That's going to leave a mark, but it was funny.
He's down the street from me. We're having a beer later.
No, you're not. Please say no.
Not really. I have no idea who he is.
No,
I know his name's Mike.
He's probably a cool guy.
Yeah, I'm sure he is. There are a couple things. Let's see. I'm on Bald Truth Talk now, right now, trying to find it. Here's an interesting one. Gianna Naj or Gian Naj, I think it's his first post ever on Bald Truth Talk.
Okay. And
the title of his post is "My First FUE, but one doctor thinks I should not get it done."
Interesting.
And he goes through and he's talking about his history. He's a 40-year-old guy.
Yeah.
Been losing his hair for 10 years, and for the past 6 years has been a minoxidil. Long story short, he says that all the doctors that he talked to suggested 4,000 to 4,500 grafts. Now, I'm looking back on this, and it says my first FUE. So these are doctors that are recommending a lot of hair with FUE. So, but he says that one doctor says,
"Oh, they're probably European guys."
Well, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
But he says that one doctor thinks that to do a hair transplantation will not help because I'll keep losing my hair, and without finasteride, I can't be helped.
Well, there is, and that's not necessarily true, but there's definitely some truth to, and I say it all the time, that if you're going to go all in, if you're going to have surgery, we know that hair loss is progressive.
Exactly.
So you really want to protect the precious donor hair that you have that's going to be moved, and also whatever native hair you have currently, if you can. You want to
whoever the doctor is, kudos to them.
Very honest
for turning this guy away. Now I'm looking at his pictures, and he's he looks like he's a 4, almost a 5. He's about a 5 with a isolated forelock. So he's got a fairly large crown area, but his donor hair looks good. Strong caliber of hair, And I'm sure he'd get a bang up result with the right doctor, but whoever this doctor was, he probably did this guy a big favor if he's not willing to try finasteride. Because it is progressive, and while he's taking minoxidil, it might slow it. He's not doing everything he can, and so kudos to the doctor for that.
I think it's very important. And there's a lot of doctors who would not turn the guy away. And listen, there's one doctor that I know that basically he says, "Look, my job is to move hair. My job is not to push medication. My job is not to tell people they need to be on finasteride." And as a matter of fact, this particular doctor doesn't really, he'll prescribe it if he's asked for it, but it's not part of his repertoire when he sits somebody down for a consultation. I don't know if that's because, of concerns of, having to deal with possible litigation or people, because so many guys are afraid to prescribe it now. And I think that's unfortunate. But this guy was honest. Whoever this doctor was, is probably, what's the guy's name on the form?
Gian Naj. It's
Okay.
Giannaj.
I really think that's great advice. And honestly, if you're not at least using a topical, doing something, then I would say wait another 5 years. See how your hair loss progresses. It's possible that you're going to have a very it's going to progress very slowly. In some cases, and I have seen this, especially when you start later in life, sometimes it doesn't progress to where you think it's going to progress, but you just don't know. It's like playing Russian roulette.
It is. And, I've seen many cases where patients will lose slowly over 10 years, like this guy says, and then suddenly their hair loss kicks into overdrive, and within 3 or 4 years, they've lost just as much as they did over the course of 10 years.
Yeah.
So it's just unpredictable, right? And so I think that advice that, like this doctor gave to Gian Naj, is appropriate. And it also seems like the poster wasn't really familiar with the reasoning, and he's asking about the legitimacy of the reasoning. So I think that this guy needs to do some research before he makes his final decision, but he should definitely listen to what this doctor said.
And that's good advice. And I think, listen, one thing for sure, there's not a doctor out there that if they think it's ethical that doesn't want to take your money. If someone is turning you away and giving you that advice, that is probably the best advice out of all the consultations that you've had.
Things like that, it's like, you should take the yeses, put those over here, and then ask yourself, okay, why did this guy say no?
Yeah, but we all want to hear. I'm going to choke again. We all want to hear what we want to hear. We want to be helped. That's why he went for these consultations. And he's like, wait a second, I see these great results. I look like I'm a good candidate for surgery, and all the doctors are saying they can help me. And what's probably happening is this guy's having online consultations. Listen, man, there's a cost to all those leads. These guys, and you have to understand that this is a business. And a lot of these doctors, even the best doctors in the world, even if they're in the IHRS, they have people who they're paying, they have salaries, they have kids in private school. Someone comes through the door, whether it's online or through their physical office, they would prefer to get them in the chair if they can.
Of course.
That's just the nature of business. People have to understand that. If there's a doctor that says you shouldn't do this unless you take finasteride or unless you're treating your hair loss in some way, that is great advice. And honestly, there are doctors that will sign off on it and say, well, look, he doesn't want to take Propecia. I warned him, and this is what happened. But sometimes I don't think warning somebody's enough. Sometimes you just got to turn them away.
Exactly. You gotta say no for them.
You're the fucking doctor.
Step in.
I hear this all the time when doctors tell me, well, this is what he wanted. And there is a school of thought in cosmetic surgery. Well, if the patient really wants something, who am I to impose my judgment as far as aesthetics on the patient? What do you mean, who are you? You're the fucking doctor, man.
I'm dealing with a guy right now that is going through this exact same issue. He was a bit younger. He wasn't in his 20s. He was still in his 30s when he had his procedure. But here he is 10 years later, not taking the medication because he couldn't tolerate it. And he still went ahead with the procedure, and he's asking me for advice on what to do because he needs more work, and he feels like he looks unnatural and unusual. The work itself is good, but the pattern of placement is not a natural pattern you find
But
Everything
I
on the
hear
street.
this even from good doctors. There's this one guy that I had to help get a refund from a doctor. This guy had surgery many, many years ago. And this doctor who, I happen to like, and he's really good at what he does. But he said, look, I wasn't sure if I should help this guy, but I put a lot of work into it. And, some of the surgery I provided, pro bono, but he really wanted more surgery, and I wanted to help the guy out. But I maybe I shouldn't have done it. I don't know if he was the right candidate for it, whatever. Like, what do you mean? You don't know? You don't know there's no I don't know. There's either you know or you don't. And if you're not sure, you don't do it.
I got another one for you. The excuse of, if I don't do it, someone else will.
Well, that's a big one, that's the truth. So I might as well make that money. And you know what? If you really think about it, I kind of understand it, because someone else will. So if he's a really good doctor, at the very least, he knows that he's going to provide a better service.
It's still going to be a similar outcome. 5,
I know.
6 years
It's all fucked. It's all fucked up, dude.
It is fucked up. I've seen it. I know, and I like you. I kind of understand that initial approach.
Yeah.
If I don't do him, then he'll go someplace that will.
Right.
And he's better off in my hands.
Right. And that's how common law deals with me. Listen, we got a phone call. I think this is actually Andrew Zarian. Is that you, Andrew Zarian?
It is me.
How are you, my Propecia-taking friend?
Hold on. You want to hear something?
Yeah.
Sounds like a pill cutter.
That could be anything in your house.
I'm about to take my 10th week of finasteride.
Woohoo.
Well, let's give everybody an update. How are you doing?
It's unbelievable.
What is unbelievable? Explain. These guys need an explanation.
There's no more hair loss at all. I mean, if I find 3 strands in the shower, that's too much.
And you told me about you actually just got a haircut. Tell me what your barber said. You told me this.
It's so funny. We were just talking about this morning. I went to the barber. I hadn't gone in about a month and a half, and he was cutting my hair. He goes, and I'm gonna curse a little bit here. He goes, "Holy shit, your hair looks so good. What are you doing?"
Yeah.
Nice.
And I go, "I'm on Propecia." He's like, "Really?" I go, "Yeah." He's like, "Oh, I heard that makes your thing not work well." Those were his exact words.
Yeah.
Exact words. I'm like, "Nope, it's working perfect."
You should have said, "Check this out."
Your hair looks good.
You should just pull down your pants and said, "Check this out," and like will the heart on.
I do that. Let's not let my pants and say, "Look, I mean, if your barber notices, that's a good thing,
Well, like I said, you're one of the lucky guys who probably caught it in an anagen phase, kind of like me. I definitely saw results within the first 3 months. So within 12 weeks, I saw a change. I wrote about that in the first Bald Truth. You are an early responder who definitely caught your hair in an anagen phase, because otherwise you wouldn't be seeing any results at this point. With that said, I think it's important that you know that it's good that that this is happening now, because some guys will catch it, in a catagen phase and throw it into a telogen phase, and then they go through an initial shed when they first take it, and they're panicking and they stop taking it. You may still have it. You may still have a shed, but at least it's going to work for you.
Yeah, no, I'm not concerned about the shed. If it happens, it happens. But I know it's working. But there's a number of things that I've noticed. One, my hair in the front is stronger. I mean, I can't describe it any other way.
Joe, like this kid needs to get any better looking.
I know, right?
Life is not fair.
Tell me another story.
Listen, I'm only down to 159 pounds. I mean, I've gotten in phenomenal shape.
He's like a fitness model with a full head of hair. It's ludicrous.
I mean, I'm on other gimmicks too to kind of, to work with this.
Right.
Just don't go on What the Tech or anything with your Calvin Kleins. That's all I say.
He'll do it. He'll take off his shirt. He doesn't care.
Joe, have you not seen my Facebook page?
I have seen your Facebook page. I'm putting this out there so that you hopefully you won't do that.
I'll do it on What the Tech. I don't care.
Look, I don't care. No, I don't give a damn. I'll do it. I don't care.
No, I'll tell you. I met with Spencer. I met with someone that you recently recommended to go on finasteride.
Yeah.
A friend of mine. His initials are K and C.
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. And what did he say?
So,
I didn't he asked me about it. He asked me my thoughts. I never recommend it.
so he asked you your thoughts, and you told him whatever you told him, and he went on finasteride.
Yeah.
But he went on the generic version.
Yeah. Dumbass.
And the first thing he told me, and it was interesting. I just saw him on Monday, and we were talking about. I don't know how it happened, but he's like, oh, I heard you went on Propecia. How's it been for you? I'm like, it's been unbelievable. He's like, really? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, what have you noticed? He's like, well, my hair's not falling out, but I haven't seen that much growth. And the first thing he says after that, what do you think it is, Ben?
His dick doesn't work.
Is I don't have I don't have the drive that I did. And I go, how long have you been on? He goes, 3 months. And
well, look, it is possible. I mean, that's one of the side effects.
That's what I told him. I'm like, it's totally possible, but do you think it's in your head? He's like, I mean, it's likely it is, because I went online and I read all the reviews, and that's the first snake that I saw.
I told him not to go online and read about it.
And that's what he did.
And he's like, no, I don't. He goes, I'm not going to spend any time online reading about it, and I appreciate your advice. And bingo.
But you know what, Dad? I asked him, I'm like, well, I mean, I don't want to ask too much, but how often are you having sex? He goes, 3-4 times a week. I go, that's 2 or 3 times more than most people.
Are you kidding me, man?
It's more than the average, I'm sure.
Once you're past 40, if you're having it twice a year, you throw a fucking party.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking about with somebody else.
And this is what I did. I sat down with him. I go, when you went on finasteride, how long were you with your girlfriend? He goes, 3 months. I go, okay, well, now how long has it been? He goes, over a year.
Oh, yeah.
I go, well, there you go.
Okay.
That's it.
I go, you're just not into her like you were.
You know how he can figure this out? He needs to go out with an 18-year-old just for a couple of days.
That's it. That's all you have to do.
18, I said. She has to be legal. Sorry.
I'm telling you, I've had no side effects.
Yeah, well, listen, I'm completely open and honest about this, and if I was, suffering from old man impotence, I would talk about it. But yeah, if I drink a half a bottle of Jack Daniels, there might be a problem. But I've been
Absolutely.
But I've been taking this stuff for 20 years, and unless there is a tremendous amount of alcohol introduced into my system, then I'm working just about the same as I did, when I started this thing.
That's where I get dangerous. Half a bottle, it's like,
lock
the doors.
Yeah.
What was that?
Was that?
Are you on finasteride also?
I've been on finasteride, non-generic Proscar for going on 13 years.
Have you had any side effects?
No. It's one of those things where it's like sometimes you wonder, and is it the medication? Is it getting to be 45? Is it what's going on? But no, I'm fine. I mean, everything's healthy across the board. I was telling Spencer, I actually got off finasteride for several weeks because I wanted to go get blood work and proper physical and all that stuff. I didn't want my PSA levels messed with or anything like that. And the doctor was like, "You're 45?" Like, yeah. He goes, "You're fine. Everything across the board, good to go." And testosterone levels were good. PSA levels were healthy. And on it or off it, and this is the first time I've been off the medication in years, I felt no different at all.
Yeah. How long have you been off it?
I was off it I just started back a week ago or 2 weeks ago, I guess. So about 6 weeks. Had plenty of time to exit my system.
I mean, the doctor that prescribed it to me is an anti-aging doctor.
Yeah.
And he deals with a lot of men that come in for, the plethora of issues, low sex drive, and they feel depressed. And he has told me not one out of the thousands that he has prescribed finasteride to has come in saying, since I went on this medication, I don't have the urge.
Now, let me ask you a question. Do most of his patients use, I mean, I don't know if you know this, but are they using brand name or are they using generic?
No, they are not. He does not necessarily prescribe. They're using. I'm sorry. They're using brand name. They are not using generic.
Yeah.
As it
Because
should be.
that's something I asked him also. Because when I went to him specifically, I asked him to prescribe me name brand, not generic. He goes, "Well, I rarely do prescribe generic unless the person tells me specifically."
Yeah. I mean, here in the U.S., in order to get a name brand, the doctor actually has to put the name brand.
I have to
And
put the name.
yeah, otherwise a pharmacy will automatically give you generic. As you know, when we were in San Francisco on our family vacation,
That was
Our family vacation.
not to share about the last.
tell them that story, Andrew.
So that was unbelievable. So we went on our family vacation, and we went to the CVS, like up the block from the Ritz-Carlton in San Francisco. And Spencer went in with a prescription. He called in a prescription for...
I actually had my doctor call the pharmacy in San Francisco to call in because it had been almost 2 weeks since I took my finasteride. I forgot to take it 1 week. And I'm like, holy shit, I've never been off it this long for the last 20 years. I got to get my hands on some pills.
And they did not have a name brand.
So, I mean...
We had to drive 7 miles to the other pharmacy that had the name brand.
And in San Francisco, that's not easy to do.
No, it wasn't.
No. And I drove.
I refused to take it. And people, I mean, Common Law and Jess, everyone was like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
But I was one of those people, Spence. I was like, why don't you just take whatever they got? And you're like, nope.
Well, he's
I'm like, I'm looking at the lady like, do you know who I am?
But now I get it, man. I'm telling you, my wife
you
is
just
next
can't
to me
take a
right now.
risk.
We're on the floor. We're getting a new king size bed, but we got the mattress but no bed. So we're literally sleeping on the floor like two college kids.
The bed is set to arrive at 6:30 a.m. tomorrow.
Oh my God! So you guys better get to sleep.
I know. So, but she could tell you. I mean, I'm going to ask her right now. Have you, since I went on finasteride, do you think there's any kind of issues with me sexually?
No.
No. There you go.
Nothing no different than you were before.
If anything, it's a total opposite.
She's saying, unfortunately, no. What? What?
Unfortunately, no.
She was hoping there'd be some changes.
I mean, I guess I'll talk about it on this show because this is the show for men and self-help for men. Spencer knows I'm on some other stuff also.
And what is that?
I'm on TRT. I'm doing TRT.
So he's on. He's basically taking testosterone supplementation.
And I'm on HCG also.
Yeah. So I mean, the guy's jacked. Like within 2 weeks, all of a sudden, he became the Rock.
Now we know.
I sent them a picture. I sent Spencer a picture. Within 2 weeks, literally, all the fat was sucked out. I lost 10 pounds, and I got like abs.
But here's the thing: I actually am at the age that I'm like someone who needs that. You know what I mean? And
the reason why I went on, it's not like I got medication from it. I went to the doctor, and he did a whole blood screening on me, and he goes, "Well, listen, you're low on testosterone. You're like, for your age, you're significantly low right now. So I could work with it, and I could give you, a bioidentical version of it, and that's what I did."
Well, no wonder you want more. No wonder things are working better.
It's all explained.
Everything's working great. But I went on that stuff a month after.
You're on the gimmicks.
Finasteride.
Now, Andrew, did they put you on the patch or the gel, or you do the weekly injectable?
No, I'm doing the it's a custom cream for his practice.
Okay.
And it's made by it's made from yams.
It's made from yam?
Yeah, yams and sweet potatoes.
So it's a topping as well.
Yeah, it's bioidentical.
Yeah, he puts it on his pumpkin pie. That's how he takes it.
And I'm done for the day.
He has it. He puts it in his coffee, and that's it. Well, listen, I'm actually jealous. I bust his balls, but I am a little concerned. I want you to just make sure that you're getting all your levels checked and you're watching yourself and you're not harming yourself in any way. But
I'm
I would
actually
go ahead.
below the prescribed. I'm doing below what he's telling me. So he's telling me to do like it comes in like a syringe, not like a needle, but it comes in a little syringe, and he tells me to do like a millimeter or milliliter, whatever it is, a day.
But look, if it wasn't for my hair, honestly, if it wasn't for the fear of losing the hair that I've saved, and I know that's not the case for you, but like I'm in a different position. You know, I've been holding on to this for 25 years. You know, it's a lot. There's a lot more to it for me. It's possible that I would see a physician and get on something because I got to tell you, working out is definitely more difficult. I know I would be like Hulk Hogan if I got on that shit. It would be insane. And there's so many.
I'm looking at the chat room right now, right? And this guy goes, well, he was low in testosterone because he was on finasteride. Well, no, because I took the test initially. I took a blood test. I took a blood screening, a year ago.
Yeah, this is before finasteride.
Way before finasteride, and my levels were low, like significantly low for, my age. I was 28, 29 at the time, and now I'm 30, 31, and I took it again while I was on finasteride. My testosterone levels were not changed whatsoever.
And actually, it's more likely that your testosterone levels, your free-flowing testosterone, would go up a little bit if you're not converting as much to DHT. So,
guy that's been working out. I work out. I've been eating clean for about a year now, so I can't see anything in my diet that would bring down my testosterone levels. This was all natural. This was what was happening naturally to my body. So now that I'm on testosterone, I'm going to take a secondary blood test next week when I go in to see how it's impacted, my levels. But I've had I'm going to tell you right now, my hair loss is virtually stopped. I've had some growth, but it's minimal because it's only been, 2 months, a little over 2 months, 2.5 months of being on the medication. I feel like my hair is a lot thicker now in the front.
Right.
Just being on it. I've sent pictures. I've also taken pictures. I've been documenting this entire thing, and it's very noticeable. To the point that my barber, which hasn't seen me in a month and a half, noticed a difference.
It causes memory loss too, right? Because you just told us this story.
I'm just recapping for you. You're worried about holding the knife upside down?
Yeah.
That's the problem that you experienced. That's one reason why I was getting the test done on myself, because I wondered if my testosterone was low, and it wound up being like fine. So I'm actually going to have it tested again in another few weeks once my fin levels get to be consistent again, and see if that's affecting anything, because I wasn't feeling like I was getting everything out of my workouts. Right?
Yeah, I'm definitely changed. I'm changed. I mean, I'm almost 50. I definitely feel a change. I definitely see. I mean, I've lost some weight, so I'm starting to see more muscle again. But it's different. It's not what it was, man. That hardness that you have when you're 30 years old after you train, and if you're training hard for a while, it's just not the same. That's just the way that it is. So I'm actually at the point where I should be taking that shit, but I'm concerned that it could, possibly kickstart my hair loss again. So I'm going to probably wait till I'm 55 or 60 when my body completely falls apart and then jump back on it.
Well, the theory I've heard from all the doctors I've talked to about this, hair transplant doctors and non, is that it's just a matter of upping your fin.
Yeah.
Your finasteride, right? But you're already taking like 5 pills a day, right? So you don't want to do that.
I don't want to do that. Yeah, actually, I take such a relatively small. I take 1 5 mil. I have to take it tonight. I take it during show after the show, just so I remember. I take it once a week, and that's what I've been able to maintain with. So, I mean, you're right. It's possible that I can start taking 1 milligram a day, get myself on the YAM testosterone. Do the gimmicks like Andrew.
The gimmicks are good, man. They work.
Apparently.
And
they're tasty.
It'd be like the fountain of youth.
It really is. And to answer the
I'll dye my hair like Wayne Newton. Go ahead.
I've been trying to do that for years.
That's That's awesome.
So to answer the chat room, I am not working for Merck. I wish I was because I'd be making some bread right now if I wasn't. If I was working for him.
Someone in the chat room says you're working for Merck?
Yeah, so you go, so Andrew's working for Merck now. No, I wish I was.
Yeah.
I mean, I would take that Merck money immediately. I don't care. I don't care.
You and me both.
Take it.
Yeah, I have no integrity with that. I would take that Merck money and wear a giant Merck sign on my
But
chest.
at this point, it has nothing to do with integrity. You've actually been taking the pill. You're doing well on it, and you have no side effects.
I'm doing well on it. Listen,
Take
if
the
I
money.
wasn't-
Take them. Listen, if they're listening, Andrew will take the money.
I'll take the money, 100%. I have
Get in
not.
line. I said it first. Call me Merc Man.
Andrew and Joe will take the money. He'll dress as a Propecia pill.
Yeah.
Stand
I have not
outside his
done
house.
PRP. I don't know where that came from. I'm willing to do PRP, but only by Dr. Greco. The anti-aging doctor that I'm going to does PRP, but not for the hair. He actually does it for sports medicine.
Yeah, I mean, I think at this point, man, don't even mess with it. You're doing well. You say that the progression, you stop the progression of your hair loss. You see a difference already after 10 weeks. I mean, which is possible. It's rare, but it does happen. I mean, because you kind of see if you catch it in that right phase, at the perfect storm, that you can kind of just start to see the miniaturization process reverse, and even a slight increase in hair shaft diameter. Because 10 weeks, your hair is going to grow. It could grow a couple of millimeters.
He's got a lot more development to potentially look forward to. But the thing is when I hear about all these different treatments, hey, try this and try that, that's just one more thing to forget as part of your routine.
Right.
So it's like if you have like 5 things you're doing, number one, you don't know what the hell's doing what. You don't know what's actually being effective and what isn't, because the results are being diluted by the number of treatments that you're taking. But
That's
secondly,
correct.
you got to maintain this thing for the rest of your life. If you don't, then all the progress you made, or part of the progress you made, is gone.
Right.
So why
So you're on the gimmicks. You got the Propecia.
Yeah,
you
I
don't
don't
need
get it.
anything else, dude.
don't do it,
Listen,
man.
the gimmicks are working great for me.
Well, you
Obviously,
only have a few of them. Don't add like 9 more to it.
Right.
I'm on two things. I'm on HCG, and that's a monthly thing. You got to take that once every,
That's fine.
3 months. And I'm doing TRT, but it's all bioidentical.
Well, and that's it. Be careful. Just keep getting checked out. And you know, as far as your hair is concerned, again, we're not doctors here, but you know what it is. Don't fuck with it.
You can go as long as you want, by the way. There's no show today, but I know it's 10 o'clock. But let me
outta
just tell
here.
you, I was on finasteride. The first one I took was December 4th, right? I was in your studio that Tuesday.
Right.
Went and I got checked out by the doctor the week after.
Right.
And my body fat was 21%. And last week I went to him, and I haven't changed my workout regimen at all. All I did was go on TRT and HCG. My body fat was under 16%. It was 15.9%
That's insane.
Good job.
in 2 months, 3 months. 10 weeks.
That's
It's unbelievable.
That's good.
And I've had
That's real
no
good.
side effects, no mood swings. I've had no shedding happen from it.
You haven't hit Jess once. No roid rage. Okay.
My wife's posting her ass on Facebook at this point.
I don't even know how I feel about that. I saw it, and obviously she's in wonderful condition.
I didn't see it.
How do I even
What?
comment on your wife's ass? I mean, she's in great condition. What do you say to that?
I don't know. I've been thinking about making a comment.
What a nice,
and
what a nice, strong-looking, young-looking physique.
What a handsome young lady.
Yeah.
I mean, she's doing CrossFit. She works out every day.
It's incredible. You guys are like superheroes.
Let me tell you, me going on the gimmicks motivated her big time to go and start, working out hardcore.
That's what happened with me and my wife when I started on this, the eating clean and getting in the gym. Okay, let me back up. It was her motivation of saying, "Get your fat ass in the gym," that pushed me,
Right.
got me back in the gym. But when she saw how dedicated I was to it and all the changes, she's like, "Okay, I want to do this too." And she went through the same thing that you and Mrs. Zarian are going through.
Well,
fun.
when Common Law was actually competing, I was like at my fattest. I go to like her bodybuilding shows, like with a box of donuts.
You're the anti-common law.
You know,
But Joe, it's interesting what you did because you actually, I think since eating better, my hair has gotten better.
yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's one of the things that I noticed as well, and I talked about it on the show, where when you cut out the sugar, when you cut out the bread, including the pastas and the hardest things to give up, your body will react in different ways positively. And one of them that I found for myself was with hair. The quality of my hair, it just seemed
I'm telling you,
a sheen.
if
that
Brian
it hadn't had
Monroe would just get away from the counter for a couple of months, his hair would grow back.
I'm telling you right now, it's not even like a crazy thing to say. I mean, Joe, you did when I went on my diet, you were actually a big motivation for me because you were kind of like cheerleading me, when I changed my diet and I started eating cleaner and I did vegan for a little bit and I did vegetarian for a little bit and I started eating more organic foods. And I've kind of stuck to that for the most part, except, when you go out and you eat, you don't know what you're getting, but
and that's why I don't like going out to eat.
Well, I go out and I eat all the time, but I always go to the same place and I know that their chicken is organic and I know what they're getting is kind of clean.
I'm actually thinking about calling Uber and going to a steakhouse tonight, getting loaded because Common Law's not here.
The thing that I wanted the most yesterday?
Fried chicken.
Fried chicken for breakfast.
Jeez.
I was in the same boat, man. I was like, oh, God, I want that.
Yeah, I have, my supermarket, and I know that you don't believe this, Joe Tillman, has the best like deli fried chicken that they make.
Ralph has the best fried chicken I've had in my life.
I don't know. I mean, that you talk about 7 herbs and spices or whatever, that the Colonel has. Whatever the recipe is, man, it's not too doughy. It's just like it's real Southern fried chicken.
Can't stand the doughy.
Yeah,
it's not done right. No, it's got to be. There's a certain balance that you got to get, but that's another story. Hey, I want to address something. Something in the chat room. Someone asked me, when are we getting topical finasteride, and I said, well, any pharmacy can make it for you.
Right.
But what I meant to say was any compounding pharmacy can make it for you.
That's correct.
A lot of pharmacies don't actually have the ability to compound medications on site.
Isn't that wild? I mean, when I was a kid, every pharmacy was a compounding pharmacy.
Yeah.
Okay, so I got a question for you guys because I'm the youngest one here. And it may sound stupid. Well, what are the benefits of compounding finasteride and using it as a topical?
Well, there's some people. There's the school of thought is that if you ingest it, then you're more likely to have the side effects. And if it's just topical, then
it's not going to be a systemic.
Exactly. And the reason why compounding pharmacies can make a topical for you, and that's obviously if you talk to them about it, you can't just go ask for it. You got to talk to them about it and work out the details. But you can't sell a topical because it's still covered by a patent. Merck Pharmaceuticals actually has a patent for topical finasteride, topical Propecia. So you can't legally sell that. But if a doctor prescribes it, at least in Canada, I think it's the same way in the U.S.
It is. Yeah.
A doctor can prescribe a medication for one-off usage if it can be compounded in a pharmacy. And that's why That's why if you can find a compounding pharmacy and a pharmacist that's willing to do it for you, you can get a topical.
Well, most major cities will have like one old school apothecary, like one old school compounding pharmacy left.
Yeah.
So you just kind of have to go online.
I mean, one in Richmond Hill, right?
Yeah.
Is that the one, the Israelis?
In Richmond Hill? I don't know, actually. I know there's a couple in Manhattan. There's one on 72nd Street and 3rd Avenue on the corner. I'm sorry, 74th Street and 3rd Avenue. I forgot the name of the place. And there's one other place that I know that they've been around for 100 years.
I was talking to Bauman when he came up to New York, and we were talking about the place, and I think he told me that the place that compounds his stuff is in Richmond Hill.
That's possible. It's
I could be totally making that up, so don't hold that.
I may be wrong about the street the pharmacy's on.
Yeah.
I forgot what day it is today. I choked on the air earlier. I almost died.
I may be wrong
Did you?
about wearing underwear.
On GFQ.
I was watching The Godfather with Jess.
You were watching The Godfather. It was which one? Godfather 1 or Godfather 2?
So we got both.
Of course. How could you not?
She's never seen Godfather 2. I've seen Godfather 1 1,000 times, but we were watching that and then we stopped and we.
How can she have never seen Godfather 2?
How could you have never seen Godfather 2?
But has she seen The Freshman? Have you guys seen The Freshman, for that matter?
I have not.
Oh God, you got to see The Freshman. Matthew Broderick and God, what's his name? Brando as the Godfather, but not as the Godfather.
I'll tell you something. We've been
Love that
together
movie.
for 10
I didn't
years,
see that.
and
Yeah.
so
Yes.
much about her over the last couple of days. She has never seen Legend. She has never seen a ton of movies. The Princess Bride.
Oh no,
That's interesting.
set that woman down for a movie marathon.
I know. How have you not seen the Princess Bride? Andre the Giant's in it.
Guys,
Of course, there's the connection.
guys, I'm
There's
gonna call.
the
I'm gonna call it a night. It is late. I want to thank you for hanging out, Andrew Zarian. I'm so glad that you are now working for Merck. I mean, I'm so glad that you are doing
You know
so.
what? I'm telling you, I wish I was. I wish that paycheck was coming in every week. I would come on here dressed as a giant finasteride pill,
That would be awesome.
and I'd say, "No, there's no dick problems. Take me."
Yeah,
Oh, take
like have finasteride costume with like the crotch, cut out.
Yeah,
I was
going
say,
to
like, his new wrestling-
No problem doing that. If I was a shield for this company, I would do it.
Yeah, your new wrestling name is the Pill,
The pill,
Merkman.
Merkman. Yeah.
Merc man. My finisher's called a Merc. I just take a pill and I put it in your mouth, and your dick doesn't work.
The Merkmeister.
All right, ladies, I gotta go.
All right, guys.
All right, man. Thanks for the
Have a good
call,
night,
Andrew.
Andrew.
Take care.
I'll see you. Bye.
Joe Tillman, thank you so much for hanging out. Another fun and lively broadcast.
It was interesting tonight.
It certainly was. Sorry for the technical problems, but
No worries.
thanks for hanging out.
My pleasure.
All right, and we'll see you on Bald Truth Talk, right?
Right on.
All right,
Absolutely.
man.
Have a
Talk
good
to you
night.
next week. Take care.
All right.
Guys, let me give out the websites. If you want to check out archived broadcasts of The Bald Truth, go to thebaldtruth.com. Of course, if you want to interact with other hair loss sufferers, you can always go to our message forum. That is baldtruthtalk.com. Please take what you read on the message forums, even ours, with a grain of salt. Most of the content is coming from anonymous users. That's just the way that it is. So unless you can verify where this information is coming from, or if it's coming from a physician who may be an IHRS member or another known expert or known entity in the field, take everything with a grain of salt. But it's a great place to interact with other hair loss sufferers, to kind of learn about what's going on, and of course to vent about your hair loss situation and to to kind of gather information. But again, never take anything as the gospel unless you know where it's coming from. AmericanHairLoss.org for the American Hair Loss Association. And if you're considering surgical hair restoration, of course, check out the International Alliance of Hair Restoration Surgeons. That is IAHRS.org. Until next time, be strong. God bless, and thank you so much for listening.
Thank you very much. I'm sorry for any inconvenience you may have been put to prior to the programme, and I'm glad you enjoyed it. And if you could now leave by the exits at the rear, that'd be splendid. Thank you. Good night.